Right, so the United Kingdom, land of warm beer, questionable dental work, and a legal system that frowns upon nicking stuff. Seriously, pop down to your local Tesco and try walking out with a pack of hobnobs without paying. See how quickly you're chatting with a bloke named Barry in a fluorescent vest. But here's the kicker. Turns out this whole thou shalt not steal thing didn't quite apply when it came to, well, most of the world. See, the British Empire, bless its cotton socks, had a bit of a habit of borrowing land, a lot of land. We're talking 122 countries, 122. To put that in perspective, you could steal someone's lunch money every day for over 3 centuries and still not match that level of acquisition. So, tonight on Last Week Tonight, we're diving into the sticky history of the British Empire and asking the tough questions like, can you really call dibs on a continent, and is there a statute of limitations on returning stolen goods? Buckle up, folks, it's going to be a bumpy ride. Now, I know what you're thinking. 122 countries seems a tad excessive, even for those tea-loving chaps. But let's not be hasty. We're talking about a time when the sun never set on the British Empire. And why? Because they bloody well colonized it, that's why. From the icy tundras of Canada to the scorching plains of Australia, the Brits were like that mate who invites himself on holiday and never leaves. India, Nigeria, Jamaica, you name it, they've been there, conquered that. They even had a crack at America, and we all know how that turned out. Spoiler alert. Not great for the Brits, but hey, who needs actual ownership when you've got a Union Jack and a stiff upper lip, right? Well, turns out the folks living in those 122 countries might have a few thoughts on that. Funny how that works. Now, I'm no lawyer, but something tells me rocking up on someone's doorstep, declaring it yours because you've got better hats, and then proceeding to exploit their resources for centuries doesn't exactly scream legal precedent. The Brits called it colonization. Others might call it grand theft country. Either way, it wasn't exactly a picnic for the folks on the receiving end. We're talking exploitation, oppression, and a whole lot of cultural baggage that still hasn't been unpacked. See, the thing about empires is they're not built on tea and crumpets alone. They're built on the backs of the colonized. And that, my friends, is a debt that's long overdue. So, can you just apologize for a few centuries of, shall we say, misunderstandings and call it a day? Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. See, international law is a slippery fish, especially when it comes to historical grievances. Some argue for reparations, others for the return of stolen artifacts. There's no easy answer, no magic wand to erase the past. But one thing's for sure, simply sweeping it under the rug and pretending it never happened isn't an option. So where do we go from here? How do we even begin to address the legacy of an empire built on stolen land and stolen lives? That, my friends, is the million-dollar question, or perhaps the trillion-dollar question, considering the wealth extracted from those 122 countries. And it's a question we'll be grappling with for generations to come.